during the race, Kyle Larson and spotter Tyler Monn got into a heated exchange over the radio. Now, in the race, Denny Hamlin was racing Kyle Larson very aggressively and really used him up on the track as well. Now, this reignited their rivalry dating back to the Kansas spring race last year when Hamlin and Larson collided while battling for the win. Then, later in the year, Hamlin squeezed Larson up into the wall at Pocono while fighting for the win there. Larson was fired up after that Pocono race, saying that he deserves to be raced with respect. His spotter was also fired up after the latest tangle between his driver and Hamlin. Larson's spotter said Hamlin always races him aggressively because Larson lets it happen. Larson responded by telling Monn to shut the F up. Now, we know Larson has a reputation for being a clean, fair and respectful driver, while Hamlin isn't afraid to ruffle the feathers. Now, displaying a whatever-it-takes attitude mentality to win. Now, photo taken as well here by Jonathan Bachman from Getty Images. Matt, does spotter Tyler Monn make a good point here that Larson needs to start standing up for himself, or drivers like Hamlin will continue to use him up on the track because they know that he's not going to retaliate?
Yes, and as you can probably see by my background here, I have some skin in the game in this conversation. Yeah, I mean, they've had plenty of run-ins, haven't they, in the last 18 months? Pocono, Kansas last year, and there was another one, I can't remember where it was, there's been so many. And it was the same for a little while with the Kyle and Kyle show when it was Larson versus Bush. Bush would always come out on top, it seemed like, of Larson back when they were at Gibbs and Ganassi respectively. Of course, the old slide job race at Chicagoland Spring Straight in line. But it's a bit of that Hamlin being the playground bully, picking on Kyle Larson, and then Kyle Larson's friend next to him going, "You're not going to take that from him, are you? Come on, get on with it." And he obviously didn't take too kindly for it. That's probably not the conversation you should have in the middle of the race. It was under caution, may I add, but perhaps that's a Monday afternoon quarterbacking kind of, or crew chiefing conversation. I guess Larson would know that, Hamlin has got his number to some degree. But I'm not sure it was perhaps right that it should have come out on the radio. But then in the end, as I mentioned earlier when we were talking about the tyres, Hamlin finished way back after winning the second stage, and Larson secured a top 10 finish. So in the end, it worked out quite okay for the 5 team.
I personally like it. It reminds me of Alan Permain when he was on the radio to Fisher Keller back in Australia one year. And he was like, Fisher Keller was 3 or 4 seconds down. And he came over the radio saying, "Giancarlo, you are 5 seconds down on Fernando's time. There is no reasonable excuse with the same machinery. You are this slow. Get a grip. Get a move on." I was like, I often think about that now. And I think if only they would do that to Sergio Perez, it might give him a kick up the backside. But they never will.
There's a classic WRC clip, and now I say it's classic. I'm about to say I can't remember. I can't remember if it was Richard Burns driving with Robert Reed next to him, or Marco Martin driving with Michael Park sat next to him in a foggy stage somewhere, Argentina or GB somewhere, and the co-driver goes, "Come on, you can see more than that. Like, go faster, man." Jack says Larson has to give it back at some point. I don't disagree, and once I think perhaps next time we see the two of them fighting, a mano-on-mano duel for the end of a race somewhere down the line, maybe the tables perhaps will get turned. But they're mates, Larson and Hamlin, or have been off the track. And that was brought up when we talked about it on this show last year, and everybody else did at the time through the Pocono and Kansas stuff. These guys are friends. They play golf together and whatever else. So when Kyle Larson's got any time when he's not driving cars, or flying to Paris to go and see Taylor Swift or whatever else, to do that kind of thing. But yes, I don't disagree. He has to give him a little one of those at some point, just to go, yeah, I'm still here. Don't you worry about me, my friend.
One thing I love about Taylor Swift at the moment is that she's brought in more global revenue than anyone else in the entire world, more than the royal family, more than America, anyone. She's brought in single-handedly on her world tour more revenue to each country than anybody else has done. That is amazing. I honestly think she's bigger than what the Beatles were back in the 60s. I honestly, it's just such an elevated level.
If
Anyway,
I
how
just
did that
mention
get
the
to Taylor
word,
Swift?
we've mentioned Taylor Swift. So if I just mention true crime, then we've covered all bases of social media content. Hendrick guys just
Yeah.
don't pay back. Yeah, we've saw that with Chase Elliott, haven't we, recently as well in the last couple of years. And as you chase at Charlotte, of course, when he done, and William Byron, of course, as well. Had the incident with Denny Hamlin last year. So comes around, goes around. But I think Larson is ready. He does need to at some point. Just as I say, just give him a little elbow at some stage.